Good evening, I'm Emma Jane Vere and this is Television Tonga News. In the headlines, Tongatapu People's Representative Number 5, Aisake Eke, appointed as the new Minister for Finance and National Planning. The Honourable Prime Minister visits a cyclone-torn Ha'apai. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister assesses the damage in Ha'apai. And Digicel Tonga charters a plane to send aid to people in the Ha'apai group. These and more stories, including news from the Pacific, sports, world and the weather information later on in this bulletin. Let's take a look at the news in detail. Tongatapu People's Representative Number 5, Dr. Aisake Valueke, is appointed as the new Minister of Finance and National Planning. The Acting Chief Secretary and Secretary to Cabinet, Aholotu Balu, presents the letter of appointment of His Majesty King Tibo VI to Aisake Eke at his home in Vaudo'o this evening. Dr. Eke worked at the Ministry of Finance and National Planning for many years. He was the Secretary of the Finance Ministry for many years, being elected, or before he was elected, as Tongatapu People's Representative Number 5. He replaces the former Finance and National Planning Minister, Lisiate Akolo. The Honourable Prime Minister Lord Ivanoa has returned to Tongatapu from Ha'apai after it left for the island this morning. He was accompanied by government officials to inspect the damage caused by Tropical Cyclone Ian and see firsthand of the struggles and hardships the residents are facing. Here's Kalaine Tongilava with more on that story.
Information from the Prime Minister's office state a state of emergency for the Ha'apai Vava'u group was officially declared on Saturday morning, January 11th, when Tropical Cyclone Ian reached a Category 5 with wind speed at more than 270, a first ever record high measured in Tonga. During the Ha'apai visit, the Prime Minister will meet with the islanders while the visiting team assesses the damage and how best they can assist the people affected by the cyclone. Over the weekend, the government's Committee for the National Emergency Management Operations Office, or NEMO, chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure, Honourable Sami Vaipulu, continued to work together with the District Operations Committees, Emergency Services, the non-government organisations and Tonga's development partners to monitor the situation and attempt to communicate with the Governor's Office and relief centres in Ha'apai. On Sunday morning, since air and telecommunication services were still down, the first relief effort team led by the Deputy Prime Minister and government officials from the police and defence, health and telecommunication, and utility services departed for Ha'apai on the Voya Savea patrol boat with the relief assistance supplies from the government and the Tonga Red Cross Society. A second defence patrol boat, the Voya Pangai, has also left from Vava'u to Ha'apai to help assist the survey visit. The Prime Minister's office reveals that donor partners have been very instrumental in offering immediate support with the development efforts planned for the Ha'apai group from Australia and the technical assistance issued from New Zealand in sending the RNCEF P3 Orion aircraft to assist with the aerial assessments of the islands on Sunday morning. Meanwhile, the Governor of Ha'apai, Lord Tui Hangana, has confirmed to Radio and Television Tonga News that one death was recorded as a result of the tropical cyclone. The deceased was an elderly woman who died from injuries sustained during the cyclone. Reporting for Television Tonga News, I'm Kalolaine Tonglava.
The chairman of the Government Committee for the National Emergency Management says although Tropical Cyclone Ian has left much destruction behind it, the people in general are doing quite well. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister Sami Vaipulu is in Ha'apai and told Television Tonga News that some villages in Ha'apai have suffered up to 100% of damages to their homes from the cyclone. Plantations and trees have also suffered much damage. Moreover, water and electricity are seen as two main needs on the island at the moment. In addition, the Deputy Prime Minister says equipment will be brought to the island today to help clear the roads. An appeal is also made for 500 to 1,000 tents for people who were left homeless from the cyclone. The patrol boat Voya Savea is distributing 90 tents to the smaller islands of Ha'apai. Meanwhile, messages from families in Tonga and abroad continue to pour in through Radio Tonga 1 to families in Ha'apai. Extreme damages seen in Ha'apai as a result of Tropical Cyclone Ian are the uprooted trees, fallen power poles, roofs ripped off houses, among other damages. The following images were captured by Kaufo'o Puloka and Sione Folau from Isleli, Tongatapu, who were visiting relatives in Ha'apai when Tropical Cyclone Ian hit. Kalaine Tongilava tells you more.
These are images of the destruction Tropical Cyclone Ian left behind in its wake in Hapai's capital, Bangai, and other areas. Many power poles were uprooted or had fallen, while even more trees were uprooted and fallen onto the main roads, making travel difficult. The Royal Palace in Hapai, Tau'akipulu, was not immune to Tropical Cyclone Ian's visit. The roof from the Church of Tonga in Bangai was completely torn off by the cyclone. Most of the damages sustained in Hihifo are the collapse of many houses or the roofs being torn off. Along the coastal areas of Holopeka, sea flooding occurred, damaging the main roads nearby. Many homes in Lotofoa also suffered under the wrath of Tropical Cyclone Ian. Meanwhile, the Free Wesen Church building in Bangai also suffered much damage. Kaufo'opoloka told Television Tonga News that the images were captured during and after Tropical Cyclone Ian. Reporting for Television Tonga News, I'm Caroline Tonglava.
Water is deemed as one of the most needed necessities for people in Hapai after it was hit by Tropical Cyclone Ian. Television Tonga News reporter Pierre Oliers in Hapai says with the water supply or tap water no longer running, making water very much in demand. Hapai residents have had to consume frozen meat and food as the power supply is also still down. Many domestic animals were also killed during the cyclone. While people are returning to clean up their homes, they stay at evacuation centres at night. Most of these centres are with the Churches of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Digicel Tonga has chartered a plane to send aid to Hapai this morning. The first flight left at 6 o'clock this morning, and Digicel Tonga's Human Resources Manager, Debo Ahume'efa'apula, says they've chartered an aircraft from Chatham Pacific to fly to Hapai 4 times today. Sinilatu has the details.
Digicel Tonga's Human Resources Manager, Debo Ahume'efa'apula, says the chartered planes helps send aid quickly to Hapai. The plane transports aid and donations from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint, medical aid and also the company's equipment to fix the Digicel Tower in Bangai, which was affected by the tropical cyclone. We are also trying our best to send drinking water. We've also informed other companies if they have any donations to send to Hapai, we would be happy to transport it for them. The first flight also carried volunteer workers. The chartered plane also takes volunteers and other individuals who are needed urgently in Hapai. It includes representatives from the offices of the New Zealand and Australian High Commissions, Prime Minister's Office, the hospital, Tonga Power, Kingdom Travel, Digicel staff and Pacific Timber representatives, and many others. Tubo Ahmee also confirmed that Digicel Tonga's communications in Hapai has resumed as the company caters to roughly 2,000 customers on the island. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilatu.
Close to 95% of the power lines and the transformer in Hapai has been damaged when the island was hit by Tropical Cyclone Ian over the weekend. Sinilatu with that report.
Speaking to Television Tonga News, Tonga Power's finance manager, Steveni Esau, confirmed they've sent a team of linesmen to Hapai to repair the damages. Most of the power lines, poles and the transformer sustained damages from the cyclone. We have sent 2 transformers to Hapai and another transformer has been brought from Mavao to replace the transformers which were damaged. There is still a lot of damage to our equipment which our men are fixing. Some of the power poles need to be replaced and about 50 poles have been shipped to the island today and another 50 poles tomorrow. In addition, more equipment and 4 vehicles are being sent to the island this afternoon to help in the restoration work. Parts of the power equipment shipped to Hapai includes wires for the high voltage lines and service lines to homes. It also includes coils of wire and other equipment. We are sending additional equipment and lights we can use when we work at night in order to restore the power as soon as possible. At the moment, Mr. Esau says work is underway to restore power to the island's water board and New Ui Hospital by this evening. He estimates it will take another 2 weeks to fix the damages sustained to Ha'apai's power supply alone. Mr. Esau also appeals to the Ha'apai residents to help clear the fallen branches and trees from the power lines in order to help speed up their work in restoring power to the island. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sini Lato.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has collected various contributions and donations for the Ha'apai Group this morning. The items are transported to the island on the MV Bulubaki. This was confirmed to Television Tonga News by the President of the Harbour State, Ben-Hur Kivalu, this morning at the Church of Latter-day Saints at Ma'awhanga. Anasiu Falekaono was there and filed this report.
The president of the Harbour Stake, President Ben-Hur Kivalu, says a last-minute call for assistance was made to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to collect contributions for the people of Ha'apai. An announcement was made by the president of the Church's Welfare Division to the 14 stakes in Tonga. President Inoke Kupu appealed for assistance to our fellow churches in Ha'apai, others who are in need for our help. The Harbour Stake president represented the church in expressing their sympathy to the people of Ha'apai. We are very glad to be able to help, and we just want to express our sympathy, prayers and thoughts to the people of Ha'apai who are affected by the tropical cyclone Ian. President Kivalu says the church leader, President Tukuafu, left Tonga Tapu this morning for Ha'apai to represent the church in representing their contribution to the people of Ha'apai via the Tonga Red Cross. The items collected by the church is estimated at more than 100,000 pa'anga. Included in the donation are a pack of flowers, canned food, needs for the family, also other pack of clothes here, aiming to help the people of Ha'apai after the damages caused by the tropical cyclone Ian at the country. According to the information given to Radio and Television Tonga News, this donation will be given to the Tonga Red Cross, and then from then will be divided all to the people of Ha'apai. Anasiu Falekaono for Television Tonga News.
Tongans living overseas have expressed heartfelt messages live on Radio Tonga to their families in Ha'apai who were affected by Tropical Cyclone Ian. The numerous heartfelt messages poured in after communications to Ha'apai were down when the cyclone hit the island. Tongans overseas were also able to send messages through the internet, which were also aired on Radio Tonga. Many Tongans overseas said they were glad to be able to listen directly to Radio Tonga and know what was going on in the kingdom, as well as listen to updates on the cyclone. Listeners from Georgia and the United States, one in Palaki, and also Sela and Leilani from Sydney in Australia, says they were concerned to know how their families in Ha'apai fared after the cyclone, as they couldn't contact them as communications to the island were down. They also expressed their thanks and appreciation for the commitment and hard work by the staff of the Tonga Met Service in collaboration with the National Committee for Disaster Management and Radio Tonga. Radio Tonga has been operating up to 24 hours until today since last week due to Tropical Cyclone Ian's visit to the outer islands in order to maintain communications with the outer islands. That's the local news. Pacific is up next.